Can we go back to dick jokes? Please? Okay, so the cold open of this episode, if you want to call it that, has Boimler humming warp engine sounds because he just likes to do that. Then some other dude says, "Nah, man, a warp engine sounds like this." And then Tendi is like, "Whoa, are we doing warp engine sounds? Awesome!" And then suddenly, everybody's doing it. Then Ransom walks in, draws his phaser, and tackles Boimler to the ground for some reason. And that's it. There were no jokes. It was just random stuff. It's like the writers put a bunch of unrelated ideas up on a dartboard, threw 2 darts, and then wrote a scene based on the 2 things they hit. Humming engine sounds, and Boimler gets tackled. Boom. Write it. If they wanted to just do away with the cold opens from now on, I wouldn't complain. Because clearly, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, this show is not. Anyway, the episode proper begins with the captain arguing with another ship over a salvage operation. These aliens found some old derelict Federation ship, but the captain says they can't let these dudes salvage Federation technology, even though this tech is said to be 100 years old and has to be completely obsolete by now. But no, they're gonna fight over it. Because they don't really have an episode otherwise. So the 2 ships engage their tractor beams and start playing tug-of-war over this thing, and the captain hopes this encounter won't turn violent, but if it does, her crew is ready and focused. Cut to the lower decks crew cheering on some jackass as he chugs cantaloupe puree out of the replicator. As she's cheering, Mariner bumps into the cat doctor and knocks her face into a plate of nachos. Seems like just a simple accident, but the cat doctor is super pissed. Like, irrationally pissed. Which I don't get. I get being pissed off at Mariner, but of all the stupid shit she's done that you could go after her for, why are you choosing the one thing that she didn't do intentionally? So Mariner and the cat doctor almost come to blows over this, but then the jackass, whose name is Fletcher, jumps in and diffuses the whole thing. Fletcher's this big peace negotiator who everybody loves because he's always getting them out of trouble, so he replaces the nachos and hands the cat doctor a towel and tells Mariner how awesome she is and how Boimler's kind of okay too, and before you know it, no one's upset anymore. Then Tendi and Rutherford are talking about that cargo the Cerritos is currently fighting another ship over and how they might have to do a spacewalk to go get it once the fight is done, but Tendi has a terrible secret. She's actually a blue chick. The green is just a spray-on. Also, she never finished her spacewalk class at the academy, and the thought of spacewalking terrifies her. But Rutherford wants Tendi to think he's cool, so he breaks out this holodeck training program he's been working on for just such an occasion. Cut to Mariner, Boimler, and Fletcher, who are swapping out isolinear cores. Another thing that probably should be the job of engineers, and yet isn't for reasons unknown. And Mariner and Boimler are stressed out because they're missing some party somewhere on the ship where they're doing the choo-choo dance. Which I guess is some conga line type of thing, but who the hell knows. But since Fletcher is such an awesome guy, and lower deckers stick together, he says he'll cover this boring stuff so they can go to the party. So they blow off work, which seems really out of character for Boimler. The guy just had a whole storyline about how he loves to work, and now he's ditching work so he can do choo-choo stuff. I'm so curious about that choo-choo dance now. That must be one hell of a thing. I'm only guessing, of course, because we never actually see it. Cut to the holodeck, where Rutherford boots up his training program and we're introduced to this anthropomorphic monstrosity. Batchy, a virtual tutor shaped like a living Starfleet insignia. He kinda looks like a cereal mascot, like if Star Trek had a cereal, he'd be on the box, and it would be no less than they deserve at this point because this thing looks f***ing horrifying! I mean, Jesus Christ! From the second he appeared, I kept expecting him to whip out a bloody butcher knife and just go to town on the whole crew. It's no coincidence that he's gonna try to kill them in a few minutes, believe me. So they load up the spacewalk program, Tendi and Rutherford have a little sexual tension, but Batchy freezes up while loading the cargo simulation they need to train with, and Rutherford gets really angry because he doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of the green chick. Well, he could try turning Batchy off and on again, that usually does the trick. But instead, he just kicks Batchy until he starts working. Great idea, Rutherford. You create something that looks like it would be chasing Itchy and Scratchy around with a chainsaw, and then go out of your way to piss him off. I'm sure nothing bad will come from this. So Mariner and Boimler are leaving the party, just basking in the glory of the choo-choo dance, and they find Fletcher unconscious on the floor. Somebody phasered him from behind and stole one of the isolinear cores, which is a redundant backup thing for the shield array, I guess. Not super important, but they're gonna know it's missing. Fletcher is aghast and says he's gonna be court-martialed for sure, and that Boimler and Mariner believe this for 1 second is asinine. Why would he be court-martialed for being assaulted and knocked out? Why don't they just alert security that there's a dangerous assailant on board? Beats me, but they're the ones who left Fletcher alone, so they're all gonna work together to get the core back. And their prime suspects are those shifty bastards on Delta Shift. Delta Shift! So they go to investigate, and Fletcher immediately blows up at these assholes. Now, I'm sure they must have deserved it because, you know, Delta Shift. Delta Shift! But did you ever see that Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode where someone steals a bunch of coke and machine guns from evidence, and then Debbie the plainclothes cop walks in acting as suspicious as humanly possible, and then she calls someone from the bathroom talking about how she stole the coke and the machine guns, but Hitchcock's in the stall, and he overhears her, and then he goes to the others, and he's like, I know something, but you can't ask me how I know it, and they're all like, Debbie stole the coke and the machine guns. Because it's pretty obvious, right? It's like that, except the characters are all idiots. Fletcher's acting cagey as hell, but they don't suspect a f***ing thing. And Delta Shift were at the choo-choo dance too, so their alibi checks out. For now. So the two ships have been fighting over the cargo this whole time, even though the Cerritos is like twice the size of the other ship, and I don't know why they're having such a hard time with this. But the aliens reverse their tractor beam and shoot the cargo back at the Cerritos just to be dicks, and that starts depleting the shields. So this means that non-essential power is diverted away from the holodeck and the safety protocols are disengaged, but the holodeck itself is now unable to be turned off. They have limited power, and non-essential systems cannot be turned off, thus ensuring that power will be in even shorter supply. Is it just me, or is that kind of a huge design flaw? And so, without the safety protocols, Batchy instantly turns evil and tries to kill them. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, Batchy. Rutherford changes the program to a Bajoran flea market or something so they can hide. So the ship rapidly losing power means they can change the holodeck program, they just can't turn the program off. I don't understand. And here's another one. If they can change the program to other things, why not just change it to a phaser factory or a shooting range or something? Then they could just grab a weapon, shoot and kill Batchy, problem solved. But instead they think it's a better idea to run and hide while Batchy goes on a murderous rampage. Okay. And then something very strange happens. The episode briefly toys with being an actual Star Trek show. I know, I was surprised too. But the aliens are still flinging debris at them. Ransom and the security guy want to return fire, but the captain is like, no, I'm not going to start a war here. We're going to find a peaceful solution to this because we're Starfleet, damn it. That's what we do. And that actually sounded right. Weird. So lower decks need to find that stolen core before the shield drops below 50%, at which point someone will notice the core is missing, and Fletcher thinks the aliens they're fighting must have stolen the core, but Boimler wants to scan the ship for those guys because they can't go to the captain without proof. And I can almost buy that. It sounds reasonable enough. But I still don't know why they didn't just report this whole thing to security after Fletcher was attacked in the first place. Not that it matters much, though, because when they go to get their scanners, the core is just sitting right there on Fletcher's bunk. Oh my god, he seemed so innocent, but Fletcher was the culprit the whole time. Unless this was all an elaborate frame-up by Delta Shift! Delta Shift! No, it was Fletcher. Apparently, doing a job meant for 3 people is really hard work. So he figured, I know! The solution to this problem is to take this isolinear core and hook my brain up to it! As it happens, that didn't do whatever the hell he thought it would do. The core broke and he pissed his pants. So he faked the whole thing and then hid the core where someone could easily find it and connect it directly to him. Jesus Christ. It's like the producers scoured the internet for the crappiest 10-year-old fanfic writer they could possibly find and just hit copy and paste. Hell, the only thing missing was the core coming to life and trying to kill them. So the core comes to life and tries to kill them. Apparently scanning Fletcher's brain made it turn evil, because that's totally how that works. And it's assimilating any technology it can get its cables on to make itself bigger. Because that's a thing it can do, for some reason. This technological engine of destruction could potentially destroy the entire ship, so Mariner and Boimler finally decide that they need to do the responsible thing and call this in, but Fletcher's like, no, I'll get in trouble. You guys help me or I'll tell everyone this was your fault! He's being such a dick that even Mariner thinks he's unprofessional. And that bar is so damn low, wedging yourself under it is downright impressive. Back on the holodeck, Rutherford admits that he knew Batchy wasn't ready, but he wanted to impress Tendi because he thinks she's super cool. And she is impressed, because Batchy's a great bit of programming, even if he is a murdering psychopath. Batchy, meanwhile, is getting tired from all this running around, and Rutherford thinks that if Batchy can get tired out, then maybe that means they can freeze him to death. So he tells the computer to load up an Arctic blizzard program. Okay. I don't know how the hell Rutherford got from A to B with this plan. It seems like the plan is needlessly complicated, and I'm not sure what makes Rutherford think that Batchy will freeze to death before they do, especially since he didn't bother having the computer load up protective gear for them, even though he just loaded up spacesuits for them a few minutes ago. But on the other hand, at least this whole thing is really stupid. So the others are trying to subdue the core, they're having trouble with it, but Fletcher has a great idea. They can just let the core beat them to shit and then tell everyone that a Q did it. So yeah, Fletcher sucks. Mariner and Boimler tie him up, but now the core has grown too big to drag to the transporter, so they blow it out the airlock, and it gets shot right toward the alien ship. And that's actually lucky, because the captain has exhausted every peaceful option, she's finally ready to fight back, but their weapons are down, their shields are out, the Cerritos is about to be toast, but then the core destroys the alien ship from the inside, so problem solved. Tendi and Rutherford can't outrun Batchy anymore, so Rutherford tries to fight Batchy so Tendi can get away. He does okay at first, but he can't overcome Batchy's murderous impulses, and he gets the crap beaten out of him. And may I remind you that just a couple episodes ago, Rutherford was doing a combat simulation where he loaded up a bunch of kung fu shit with his cyborg implant and obliterated a whole squad of Borg drones with his bare hands. Why can't he just do that now, you ask? I don't know, he just doesn't. Batchy's about to strangle Rutherford to death when, just in time, the cold finally gets to him and he freezes up, so Rutherford snaps his neck and then sobs over the corpse of the murderous holographic abomination he calls a son. How sad? So the ship is saved, powers restored, safety protocols are back online, the nice version of Batchy is reintegrated, but Tandy and Rutherford haul ass out of there. Then Ransom goes to investigate what the hell happened with the core, and Mariner tells him exactly what happened. No, not really. Actually, she makes Fletcher out to be the hero who saved everyone's asses. So much so that he gets a promotion and a transfer to the Titan, which I'm assuming is a much better ship. That's Boimler's dream assignment, but he's not too fussed about it because Fletcher's an asshole, and this is gonna get him out of their hair so he can be someone else's problem. And who knows, maybe this'll be just what Fletcher needs to turn his life around and be a better man, to do some much-needed personal work and inner reflection. You know, really focus on self-improvement for a change and try to become the best possible version of himself in the great upstanding classic tradition of Gene Roddenberry's. So Fletcher gets fired for being a dumbass, and he calls Mariner and Boimler and wants them to put in a good word for him, but they're like, "What's that, dude? We can barely hear you. Sorry, man, you're breaking up." Because no one's ever done that joke before. And nearly getting killed aside, this experience has given Mariner and Boimler a new appreciation for each other. Because they may fight sometimes, but hey, at least they're not Fletcher. Or those sons of bitches on Delta Shift. Delta Shift! Then Mariner makes off with the keys to the captain's yacht and signs them out in Boimler's name, because with Fletcher gone, she's back to being the crazy one, so nothing has really changed. This one had potential to be the least bad episode of Lower Decks so far. There was no filler, except for the cold open, that thing. The A, B, and C plots all kinda sorta felt like Star Trek stories, and Mariner was actually fine in this episode for the most part. She wasn't annoying, she wasn't a lunatic. The problem is, they could only accomplish that by introducing another character who was even crazier than her, so she'd look better by comparison. Not terribly original of them, but hey, it did work, at least for a little while. Also, by giving Mariner and Boimler a common enemy, it kind of changed their dynamic for the better a little bit. The two of them even commented a couple times that they made a good team, and it was cool that they were getting along for a change. And I actually agree with that. Them being buddies and working together instead of what they normally do was pretty refreshing. Plus, Boimler was not getting humiliated at every turn for a change. He got to act competently. Mariner was reined in slightly, and once they pulled that off, they were able to show that these characters actually do have some chemistry together. We just hardly ever see that because the writers are so rarely able to get out of their own way. So I count that as a positive. The only thing holding this episode back really is that it wasn't smart or funny. In fact, it was pretty stupid at times and was over-reliant on certain characters advancing the plot by acting like idiots. So there were hits and misses here. Not a strong episode by any means, but they may have taken a step in the right direction. Now they just need to take about 50 more and they'll be in good shape. If you enjoyed this review, or if you didn't, leave me a comment and help me fight off the algorithm. Also, ding that bell icon and follow me on social media to be notified when I upload new stuff. The link is down there. Thumbs up the video, share it with everyone, subscribe to the channel, make sure you're still subscribed, and I'll be back with more very soon. Until then, do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you next time.